In this episode of the Tech John, we discuss Apple potentially increasing the price of iPhones, Congress pulling funding from free Wi-Fi hotspots at schools and libraries. How do you prove if you're a real person online? And Mark Zuckerberg thinks everyone should have AI friends. Got all this and more for you in episode 177 of the Tech John. From Columbus, Ohio, I'm your host, Robb Dunewood.
And coming out of Philly, it's your girl Tech Life Steph.
And out of Atlanta, this is Terrance Gaines, aka Brother Tech, aka Happy belated Mother's Day to all the moms out there and the mother figures. I know not everybody out there doing the job is a actual mother. We're talking about grandparents, aunties, and uncles. If you are raising kids or have raised kids, happy belated Mother's Day to you.
Facts.
Definitely happy Mother's Day. I called my mama yesterday at the house where I was expecting her to be. She wasn't there. So I called her on the cell phone. It's like, hey, where you at? Like, I'm grown. Last time I checked.
Minding her grown business. Exactly.
But because I am not where I normally am, I will let you know that I am in Atlanta. So she is hanging out with one of her oldest friends, like a childhood friend. Say, hey, what you doing for Mother's Day? I'm like, nothing. So why don't you come visit me in Atlanta? So she went to Atlanta, got her one of them cheap tickets. I think she said her ticket was like $122 round trip. So she having fun. Anyway, how y'all doing?
Chilling. Happy to be back in the seat. You know, it had been a couple of weeks. I was out traveling, doing a little bit of this, a little bit of that.
Yeah,
trying to make that money.
Was your travel delay due to all that stuff that was going on last Monday at Newark? Because it slowed down Earth, from what I understand.
Yeah, you never know. I don't think it was directly related to any of that. I mean, the plane that got delayed could have been coming from Newark. They didn't say, but I was flying through Charlotte to get to Indiana. And yeah, plane could have been coming from Newark. Yo. Like literally the air traffic controllers are like, don't fly through Newark. That's pretty bad. It's pretty bad.
Yeah, it's a whole mess. But y'all, we've had some new listeners who have been popping in and listening to the Tech John recently. And I got a bit of feedback that folks like, you guys probably have been doing this so long, you just assume that we know what the show is. So it's like, tell us what the show is. So I'm going to tell folks what the show is. If you have not seen the Tech John, we're just a weekly tech show where we cover the top tech stories of the week. You know, what's been going on, but we do so from voices that you don't necessarily hear in mainstream media. And to be plain about it, is like we talk about how tech affects and disaffects folks that look like us, Black folks. So that is what Tech John. So welcome. We're glad to have you here. We're also glad to have our patrons here. We didn't have any new patrons this week, didn't have any raises this week, but I do want to, thank all the folks who are patrons and, give y'all shout outs who are supporting the show. And we'll tell you how you can do that, at the end of the show. But let's go ahead and jump into some of these tech stories of the week. And the first one here was Apple kind of let it out that they may have to increase, not have to, but they may increase prices of the iPhones coming out in the fall. But they are absolutely making 100% sure that somebody in the White House knows that this isn't necessarily because of tariffs, because I think that they saw what that reaction was when Amazon a few weeks back floated that they might actually put a tariff tab in the Amazon review, and the administration freaked out. So Apple is making sure that these price hikes, it's because we have new technology in the phones that do the exact same thing that the phones last year did. So want to get y'all's thoughts on these price hikes for the iPhones, and you have any idea, or do you have any inclination on how much do you think they might increase by?
I'll be honest, I don't know. I don't have an indication on how much the prices will go up. Who knows if this will actually come to pass. I think the story mentions that Apple may increase prices. I wouldn't put it past any American company to need any excuse to raise prices. Apple being a American company, so I wouldn't put it past them. These tariffs, this administration is affecting a lot of these tech companies in a lot of different ways. So I'm assuming they're, doing their job and trying to protect the company as much as possible. So, I mean, I guess, everything's up in the air with this administration. So including the tech folks. They don't know what's going on. So they're trying to hedge their bets. Like the story mentions, Apple is trying to move product either to India from Asia and China, or pull all of their inventory to the US from overseas to avoid tariffs. But I wouldn't put it past Apple or any other company to raise prices and use, if not tariffs, use this climate to run prices up, because they know everybody else is going to do it too.
Yeah. I had a couple of thoughts about this piece. And number one is like, y'all gonna need to do something besides offer a super thin phone if you think you gonna get the type of revenue you expect with this new release. Cause it doesn't sound like there are very many upgrades that are gonna be available in this 17. If it's called the 17, we're just assuming it's gonna be called the iPhone 17. But it doesn't sound like there are gonna be very many upgrades to it, besides the fact there's some ultra thin offering coming out. So y'all gonna have to do something else if you think people gonna pay for this phone. Cause I will wait. I think the 16, I have a 16. So this is not even my year to get a new phone. I always get every other phone. So I ain't getting one no way. So it don't really matter. But you definitely are going to have to offer some people something other than just this super thin, lightweight phone as a reason to pay, $1,500 for a damn phone. But also, like, it just irks my soul that these companies are so cowardly towards this administration. Like literally we can't even say tariff. Like you know what I mean? Like that's what's happening. Like literally the entire world is watching this trade war unfold in real time. So
Mm-hmm.
the idea that you would be too afraid to call a thing is just it just blows my mind. I don't know what you get out of not acknowledging what is happening in this global climate. And honestly, I feel like Apple's shareholders deserve to know why some of this stuff might be happening and why, because like I said, if just a thin phone ain't going to get it. So when those revenues dip in the last quarter of this year because nobody bought that 17, those shareholders deserve to know why. And the reason why is the price went up because of tariffs. So
Mm-hmm.
call a thing and stop playing and tiptoeing around this clown in the White House
Mm-hmm.
and run your business responsibly like your shareholders expect you to. It just is irking my soul that they and Amazon have caved to this clown and just ugh. Bleh, bleh. It's my final thought. Bleh.
Now, I'm not going to put Apple into the same category as Amazon, because what Amazon did, for those who don't know, a couple weeks ago, a rumor came out that Amazon may actually put the tariff price. So you'll actually have, like, you know how when you're checking out, you can see this is what the tax is, this is what all the different fees are. They would actually have a line item for tariff. So you would know that you're paying however much you're paying because of the tariff that is applied to it. And the administration freaked out. And with the speed of light, Bezos and team backed down up off of that. And I'm like, that was your opportunity to get that, to get that boot off your throat, but you chose not to do it. So
But
Crazy.
because again, unfortunately, I'm not trying not to play devil's advocate, not trying to give anybody out, but the stock market, the share price fluctuates with every little piece of news that comes out. And Apple knows that, all right, I guess we got to dance with the devil, because regardless of whatever happens, we got to keep this stock price at this certain number, and it can't drop and fluctuate and all these things. So they're like, all right, I guess we gotta make sure that this administration, or whatever the conversation is, or whatever the overarching uh, potential issue that Apple thinks is going to face, by, like Stephanie, you saying, call a thing a thing. It's like that ship has sailed. They are long past. And again, I'm an Apple fan, but look, I don't put nothing past. Apple is a $3 trillion business. They don't care about little brother tech. So you ain't gonna catch me over here, caping for them, without any other reason, right? I mean, this is just flat out businesses do what's best for that bottom line, and if that means they gotta, shuck and
Tap
jive,
dance, right?
Mhm.
that's what they got to do it with a smile on their face, which is worse. But again, it's like, hey, I ain't running no $1 billion company, so I can be like, wag the finger all I want. But if I had a $3 trillion company, I'd be like, all right, I guess we got to tap dance.
So, so like I said, I don't put Apple into the same category because I think what Apple is like, do you see what just happened to Amazon a week, 10 days ago? Let's not let that happen. So we need to increase these prices, but can we say anything other than tariff? Okay, then say anything other than tariff because we don't want that kind of heat. I get that. That's part of daily business. What some of these other companies was doing, what Amazon was doing, what Oracle was doing, what what definitely what Meta was doing, I won't say Tesla so much. I'll just say Elon because it was more of an Elon thing than a Tesla thing. Was doing that's different.
Yeah,
That is different. So
but
because
the
they
op-
want
but
that
the
stuff,
but
they want the way things are right now. I think.
sure, and I'm pretty sure Apple does a little bit. But the problem with Apple is digging a different kind of hole. Apple wants to pretend to be this, oh, we love our fans, and oh, we love our customers, and oh, we love our product, and oh, you can trust us with your data, you can trust us with your security, you can trust us with all these things. They are painting themselves to be the nice company. What eventually is going to happen is they're going to have to run these prices up. They're going to have to fire all these people. So it's like, you better rip the band-aid now and tell them, look, these are tariffs. We can't do nothing about it. This
That's
is what it
it.
Mhm.
is. Hit it now before they run out of options.
And
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 they go ahead. Go
well,
ahead.
because it's checkers, not chess, right?
Hmm.
Like,
Hmm.
you might avoid the wrath of Donald Trump today, but once this administration is gone and forgotten, hopefully, God willing, your customers still gonna remember when you ran these prices up and was scared to say why and call a
Right.
thing a thing. You know what
And
I'm
then
saying?
and then to add on to that, if Trump play Apple in their face, and then say, "Oh, we're gonna exclude Apple from," I think that I've seen stories to where Donald Trump has specifically said, "Oh, we're going to exclude Apple and some other companies from these specific China tariffs."
Mhm.
Eventually, Trump is going to need a fall guy, and they're going to be like, Apple. That's what y'all get for running up these prices. That's why the economy's so bad now. And then they're gonna sell y'all up the river, and Apple gonna be screwed. So it's
And then
like, hey,
and then just today, literally today, they reached some sort of tentative agreement. So the tariffs have gotten somewhat rolled back. Like, you did all of this for nothing. You know what I mean? You played yourself and made yourself look like a bitch for nothing, basically. And I just don't understand why you just can't say, like I said, this is the biggest global story happening right now.
Mhm.
So the
mhm.
idea that you would ignore it and try
Or
to
act like it ain't
and like you
affecting
said,
you.
play in our face and
Right,
act like that's not the reason is insulting to our
right,
intelligence as consumers.
right.
And it just sucks.
And you better rip the band-aid now and deal with it later, like everybody else is doing, versus trying to, oh, it's not gonna
I
affect
guess we
us.
won't
Yes, it
have an
is.
Apple sponsor no time soon.
Look, I'm gonna still rock with them, but just like you
We
said, quit
won't have
pretending.
Apple as a sponsor to Tech John no time soon. When you're calling them a bitch on national podcast platform. We love you, Apple. Listen, I'm gonna rock with my iPhone and my Mac all day long, but stop playing in our face.
Yeah.
That's
Hmm.
it.
So you mentioned the tariffs. So today, China and the United States did come to some type of an
Mhm.
agreement to where they're pausing these ridiculous tariffs. You couldn't even really call 145% or 100 and
Just
120%
silliness.
tariff a
Yeah.
tariff. Those are embargoes. You don't want you don't want commerce between countries when you have it
Right.
that much. So
Right.
they knocked them down by 115%. So now they are roughly 10% with above what they
Mhm.
were. But here's the thing. Have you ever, Terrence and I have kids, Steph. I know you got, nieces, nephews, that kind of stuff. Have you ever seen where this is usually usually around a 2 to 3 year old, they will do something then undo it, and they get graduated for the thing they just undid, even though they're the one that did it. Oh, that's
Right.
you picked up those Cheerios. That's so good. So then
Right.
they'll throw the Cheerios on the floor again and then go pick them up and waiting for the applause. Tell me that this president is not doing this.
Same.
Dude, you caused all of this, and you're now acting the market that was not yours over the last 2-3 weeks is now yours because you basically made a deal that you didn't make a deal. You just pushed it down the road 90 days, and you
And
caused
from
all
what
this
I
problem in the first
understand,
place.
From what I understand too, well, actually not from what I understand. Let me roll that back a little bit because libel is a thing, slander is a thing. Allegedly, what the internet streets are saying was really all about was a cash grab because that's what this administration does. That's all they do. They just were gifted a $400 billion jet from Saudi Arabia or something. To put a golf course in over there. But what the internet streets are saying, this was allegedly a cash grab to tank the market so that him and all his peoples can buy low. Now everything's back to normal. We selling high and we getting paid. I mean, honestly, that wouldn't surprise me at all because literally everything this administration has done since day one has been to benefit his pocket personally.
Sure.
So
They
yeah.
talked about that some company gifted or some group gifted them a bunch of money or another plane to either redo or get rid of the old Air Force One.
Yeah,
And now they're
Yeah, that's what I'm
Cutter.
saying.
Yeah,
I
Cutter.
would like,
Yeah, Cutter.
is
yeah,
that what that's
yeah,
for?
Cotter. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I thought you were talking about something.
And the attorney, the new attorney general who used to be a lobbyist for Cutter, said, "Oh no, it's cool. It's not a bribe. It's not an emollient. Is that what it's
It
called?
does not violate the emolument
Right,
clause.
right. Yeah, no. It's fine.
Just
It's fine.
trust
It's
us. It does it.
fine. It's fine.
It
And
does
I
it.
guarantee you, and the point I was going to make is, yeah, that's supposed to be the new Air Force One. I bet you don't leave that joint with the next president. I bet he take that joint
Oh,
with him.
there's no doubt.
Well, no, they already said it's going to sub for Air Force One now, but once he leaves office, it will go under the umbrella of the Trump Foundation.
Sure, will. Sure.
They didn't already hooked it all up,
I
to make it
mean,
look super legit and
the
everything
grift,
else.
the
And
grift
the
is
grift
on.
is insane.
Yeah.
Insane.
And
He's like, I'm getting everything I can get while I'm in here, and then it's so disgusting.
yeah, and I was watching the press conference where he was actually saying, "Yeah, yes, this is what we're going to do." And then he is trashing American companies. You usually don't do that at the international stage. Or you're going to trash Boeing. Yeah, Boeing's airplane is 40 years old. It's literally trash compared to what's sitting next to it on the tarmac. That's not Boeing's fault. The United States has not bought they have not bought a new Air Force One in a period of time. You can't say that Boeing, the company that's making it, is their fault. Like, Boeing's not going to gift it to the United States, just like they didn't gift it to Qatar. It's like, Qatar is the one that is
And then
gifting it. So
and then Trump says, what am I not supposed to say yes to free stuff? I'm like, yes, that's exactly what,
Right.
as a president,
Because you're not allowed. You're not allowed to
say
accept
no to free
gifts.
stuff.
You're
supposed to say
not
no.
allowed.
and it's like
It's insane. It's disgusting.
I have worked with folks in public sector for a significant portion of my career. You cannot even take these folks to lunch for over
At
like
all.
$20, $25. The
Listen.
amounts may have changed since I was last doing it in the in the mid
Someone who
2000s.
used to work for Lockheed, I can tell you can't do it. You cannot do it.
Yeah.
Like, they are so specific and particular about that stuff. It's just
So it's like, so Mr. President, would you like a $500 million new jet? He's like, sure. Can you get it in dark blue with bright red accents? I mean, it's just like that is what our country has come to. It's
yeah.
And you know what? There's a whole lot of folks that this is what we want. This is what we want. This is what we voted for. So,
and they're still saying, "Yep,
yeah.
cool."
So,
like, we cool with it. So yeah.
So let me tell you what I'm not cool with. I'm not cool with Congress right now because Congress has voted to pull funding for free Wi-Fi hotspots at schools and libraries. So this is based off of an FCC rule initiated by the former chair of the FCC. I believe her name is Jessica Rosenworcel. And they basically, because of the pandemic, and they had so many children and now have to do this remote learning, they didn't have viable internet access at home to be able to do it. So what she did was she didn't ask for any additional money. She found money that had already been allocated, was able to move this, rearrange this, do these things to where libraries and schools were basically able to provide these children that didn't have home internet or didn't have broadband that was capable of doing what they needed to do to get their work done, provide them with these Wi-Fi hotspots. And Congress said, that's not good. We don't want to actually do that. And I'm like, who does the money has already been allocated? The money has already been allocated. It's not like the FCC said, hey, give us billions of new dollars to do this thing. They found it within their existing budget to be able to do these things. And and we have decided that our elected officials decided that that's not good. We don't want children in rural areas. We don't want children in urban areas who don't have access to broadband. Don't want them getting free access to it. That's not how our libraries and our schools are supposed to work.
The cruelty is the point. I mean, I don't know how much simpler we can make it, but honestly, the cruelty is absolutely the point. I don't have any faith that whatever you sort of quote unquote turn over to the states will trickle down back to the programs that they were supposed to. And there was a stat in the article you posted, Rob, that talked about the Affordable Connectivity Program. I've talked extensively about that in some of the content that I've done, but they cut that as well. But they said the 7 to 8 billion annual taxpayer cost of the program generated between 28.9 and 29.5 billion in savings, thanks to expanded access to affordable internet and remote telehealth services. So, it works, and they know it works. And it literally is 0.000000001% of the budget. It literally is a drop in the bucket, and they cut it anyway because the cruelty is the point.
Yep. So, I mean, we see the play. We've seen the play. We've seen them try to mess with libraries. We've seen them mess with education. They tried to take free lunches and, when Michelle Obama, even back when Obama was in office and Michelle Obama was like, hey, man, hey, kids, can we just eat a little bit more vegetables?
How
It was like,
dare
nah,
you? How
Right,
dare
right.
you recommend that
Absolutely not.
children eat healthier?
Right.
So it's like, why are we
Insane.
surprised? Why are we upset now that the government wants to take internet access to from kids who need it for school? They not using it to run no businesses. The parents are not using it to fund no OnlyFans. All these little
But
fake
if you
fear
were, that would just create more tax revenue.
and more money for the economy. Right. But all this smoke screen is just like Stephanie said in the previous one. Why can't Congress? I mean, we know the answer is a rhetorical question, but why can't these people making these decisions be like, look, it's survival of the fittest out here, baby, and we're gonna look after ours, and we gonna anybody that's even thinking or gonna have babies that may usurped my power that I've worked hard to build for me and my family for generations. Get it out of here. So it's like we see the play. Ain't no sense of
we already
seen
know.
it. We already know.
We already know.
Yeah, like I said, we don't even need we don't even need to dig deeply into this one. It's just cruel. It's like, here's a program. They didn't ask for more money. It works. It's making money. No, we don't want those babies with access to the internet so they can learn at the same level that everyone else can. That makes no sense. We got to get that up out of here.
So what I will say to anybody within the sound of my voice, do your research, find organizations in your neighborhood that are helping underserved communities with internet access outside of government funding and contribute to those places. There are places in every neighborhood that are working very diligently to create mesh networks and using, being very creative about how they get the internet to communities that don't have it. So, you might have to do a little bit of work, but Google is free. So do a little research and
You shouldn't
find
have
those
to.
organization
We
in,
had a
in your
guest on the
neighborhood.
show. We had a guest on the show, what, a month ago? Who this was
Little
his
over.
thing. Yeah, this was his thing.
Who was that?
The guy who was making those live.
Oh yeah, they're from Atlanta. The the,
Yep.
the old
Mhm.
boy in Atlanta. I forget. His name is escaping
What's
me
his
right
name,
now.
Rob?
But
I know you
I
know.
literally was trying to go through our notes and find it. I got lost. So
yeah, his name is escaping me. But and yeah, that's what his organization does. So yeah, like find out an organization in your community that is helping people get access to the internet, because I'm sure losing this funding is probably affecting that organization.
Sure,
So
sure.
they're going to have to make up some of that money in donations, community donations and things like that. So,
mhm.
be the change
Yep,
you
I
want
was
to
just
see
gonna
in the
say.
world.
I was just gonna
Hmm.
say because we can point it out, but it's like, all right, if we trying to be self-sustainable, if we ain't trying to depend on the government, we ain't trying to depend on the administration, and we ain't trying to deal with all that. All right, now we
Come
got the
on.
Yeah.
responsibility.
Right.
Put
Come
your money where your
on.
mouth is. Put up
Step
or shut
up.
You
up.
have not said nothing but
Step
a
up.
word. You if you do not want to depend on the government, you got to depend on yourself. That it still
That's
costs
right.
money. It still costs
That's
money.
right.
So you need to donate. So y'all, I was reading an interesting article. And this is not it's not brand new. I think this came out like in late April or beginning of May or something like that. But it's basically saying how some experts are saying that with the exponential growth of AI, that by this time next year, basically by Q2 next year, that over 90% of what you see online could be generated by bots, which is pretty terrible in a way. But you think of just what these AI is capable of, it could just generate so much so quickly that 90% sounds about right when you think about it that way. But it poses a
Hmm.
problem. How do you actually prove when you have so much content that is being created by a computer, by an AI? How do you prove that when you've created something that you actually are the one that did it? How do you prove that you're human? And that is what Tools for Humanity is working on. Tools for Humanity is a startup that was co-founded by OpenAI CEO. OpenAI, of course, is ChatGPT, the creator of ChatGPT. Sam Altman, helped start this, and it launched a U.S. rollout of something that's called World ID. And what World ID is, the best way I can describe it, since for folks who are who are listening to us right now, if you think of Star Wars. I think it was Star Wars. It's this robot has been in multiple Star Wars episodes. But whenever you go to the big facility, there's like an orb that comes out of the wall, and you talk to this
Hmm.
orb. That's what this thing looks
Hmm.
like. It's basically this orb that you go get in front of, and it scans your eyes. And once it scans your eyes, it creates a unique barcode that only you would have in the world for your eyes. And then you can install an app on your phone with this World ID, and then you can use this for authentication to prove that you are a real person. Now, some of the things about it is that it does not uniquely identify you. It just says that we have scanned these eyes. We know that these eyes match this QR code, and it doesn't track you uniquely. So my question to you guys is that, are you ready to sign up for World ID, where you go scan your eyeballs and let this create a QR code that you now use to log into sites, or at least to say that you are a real human when logging into sites going into the future?
Nah.
This one. Go ahead, Steph.
That's just gonna be a no for me, dog. I mean, it just yeah. But it should concern us that the people offering this
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
solution are the ones that created the problem in the
Yeah,
first
that's what I was gonna
place.
say. This reminds me of a Mission Impossible movie where the main point of the dude was like he created this virus and he was like, all right, you know what's gonna make us more money than the virus?
The
The
cure.
the cure.
Hmm.
So this dude in the Mission Impossible movie, he wanted this scientist to release this virus into the city or whatever, and then some the love interests of Tom Cruise's character got involved. But the whole point was, I'm going to release this virus into the city, and then companies, big companies, countries, governments will pay me unheard of amounts of money for the cure. This is
Mhm.
exactly what this sounds like.
Mhm.
OpenAI is the main player in artificial intelligence that generates that company that small business owners, people use to generate a lot of this a good portion of this AI content, right? And then they say, "Oh, here's this cute little thing that's
Because 90% of
of
the
the
Yeah.
internet is gonna be AI generated, so you need to be able to prove you're
Yeah.
human.
dipping
And we
both
have a
ends,
solution for you. Here you
So
go.
both
that
ends."
Yep.
that was the thing for me, because if I'm being honest,
Double dipping.
I don't
Straight
mind.
double dipping.
I have global entry, had to scan my eyes for that. I have clear, had to scan my eyes for that. I have TSA approval, all this stuff that makes it easier to get through lines. I have scanned my face and my eyes to make it easier to get through lines, and they know who I am based off of that. This is anonymized, but the problem for me is that it is the dude that runs the I don't want to say that OpenAI is the biggest, but they definitely are the most well-known company that's out here doing AI.
Mhm.
And I mean, they are a front runner when it comes to AI. That's the company that's doing all this stuff that makes the thing that you are creating necessary. So to me, it's like going to Cyberdyne Systems and saying, create something for me that's going to save me from the Terminators. It's like, well, y'all the problem for
Right.
the y'all created the Terminators in
Right.
the first place. That was you. Am I
Right.
supposed to trust you now? So I don't
No,
know where this is going to go. It's not widely used yet, but it is an interesting idea, and it does potentially solve a problem that we will have, because this will become more and more hard. It's going to become increasingly difficult to prove that you are actually a human being and not a bot, as we
You mean
go forward.
but
like
the other
virtually,
yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, not like it's like not
So like the
in person.
applications, yeah, the applications that they talked about were like, on Ticketmaster, how it'd
Mhm.
be a bunch of bots
Yeah,
like
secret, yeah,
lining up in a queue and
yeah,
buying up all the tickets. You wouldn't be able to do that.
you got it.
I get the need for this, but again, this ain't the company to do it because number two, in addition to the fact that is Sam Altman and them, double dipping in this AI space, there is a very sinister feeling anyway to me, financial undercurrent to all of this because crypto is at the foundation of all of this thing,
Mhm.
and payments and processing payments. That's going to be the play, as you would say, Terrence, because they're trying to say we're
Processing
not
fees.
selling the data. We as soon as we scan your eyeballs, we delete that from the little orb you scanned on and everything else. However, what they
Mhm,
are saving is a lot.
mhm.
And I went to their privacy notice. They're saving your phone number, your username, your date of birth, feedback and correspondence from you, your address book contacts, your location information, P2P marketplace services information, device metadata, your device world ID data, your first and last name, your email address, your phone number, enterprise data, and application data. And they're collecting blockchain data, identity verification services, and talent databases from third parties. So don't think because your little eyeball picture is not in a database somewhere, and they're claiming it's going to stay on your phone and in your possession, encrypted, yada yada yada. They got a treasure trove of data to sell and use however they see fit. And again, there's a financial undercurrent under all of this where they're going to get paid because if they're not selling your data, they got to make money somehow,
And how they're
and
doing it,
that's the problem.
I'll tell you exactly how they're doing it. In the story, it says, and critics are still wary of its original incentive model, which offered cryptocurrency world coin tokens to
Right,
those who signed up. So that's going to be the way you have to pay
right.
for and process these little upgrades is you're going to have to buy their cryptocurrency and they're going to charge you a fee and that means bank
Mm-hmm.
for them.
Mm-hmm. And there's some like mass conspiracy theory. Hasn't there always been one floating out there about a single currency in the
A
world?
world
Mhm.
that resembles a
Maybe a
coin.
world coin,
Right.
perhaps. You know what I mean? I'm
And
just
and
saying.
and who comes up with that first, and who's
I'm
able
just
to,
saying.
process that and get it out to the masses
Nuts.
first.
Nuts. Nuts, nuts, nuts. Y'all ain't getting me to scam my shit.
Yeah.
Not for this.
Mhm,
I'll
mm,
there's some other stuff maybe, but not for this.
Yeah,
Sorry. Sorry,
and
not
and like I
sorry.
said, the technology itself, I understand why there's a need for this. It's just, I don't know if I trust OpenAI like that. And this is
At all.
to be clear, this is not OpenAI. This is Tools for Humanity, completely separate entities, but it's the
The
dude
same
just,
way OpenAI was supposed to be a not-for-profit
I didn't
corporation,
even
you know
throw
what I
that in
mean?
here, but
Like,
they
listen,
well, they decided to stop doing that because they just got tired of getting sued, I guess.
yeah,
mhm.
yeah,
So
crazy.
yeah, so for
So,
folks who
yeah,
are wondering,
no,
OpenAI
absolutely not.
for the past year probably has been trying to convert themselves from a nonprofit into a for-profit business, and they just decided, I believe it was just last week, that nope, we're not going to
Like,
do
we
that.
don't
Now
care.
we're,
We ain't
we're
doing
we're
that no
good. We,
more.
we we figured out ways to work around it, so
Absolutely.
they're just going
Like,
to
we ain't
go
doing that
without
shit
it.
no
So
more. And then too, Saray asked, "What if you get corrective eye surgery?" I don't think LASIK modifies your iris at
Mhm,
all. It reshapes your cornea. Your cornea is actually I've had
mhm,
LASIK, guys, so I can speak a little bit to LASIK. Your cornea is like the transparent kind of
film.
layer, yeah, over top of your iris.
Mhm,
And the LASIK reshapes your cornea. It does
mhm.
not affect your actual iris, or anything like that. But I could absolutely see somebody creating a fake iris. Like,
Mhm.
there's no stopping, counterfeit irises and things like that to happen, so you
Or
can be
the black market, we talking about movies here, somebody yanking your
listen,
eyeballs out.
like yanking your
yeah.
eyeball out,
What
right?
was that movie?
Right,
Minority
like they be
Report.
stealing kidneys,
Mhm.
Minority Report
right?
with Tom Cruise.
Exactly,
So one
exactly.
point of
So,
clarification
yeah,
for Saray, because other folks might have this as well. So if you were to have LASIK or something, and let's say that it did change your iris, you've already been enrolled in this, so you already have your uniquely, the thing that uniquely identifies you. Now if you felt like you needed to go update that, you would have to go back to one of the centers where they have these orbs, these big, like I said, they look like the robots straight out of Star Wars that talk to you whenever you get to a new establishment. You'd have to go rescan and then maybe create a new one, but once you have it, you don't it's not like you do this scan and you get this QR code and then you have to scan every time you use the app. That's not how this works. It is you're going to get scanned to prove that you are a human, and then you get a unique identifier that this human matches these eyeballs and no one else can
right,
have that. So what it would do
right,
is that if you were going to Ticketmaster, you could only use that QR code that you would get one time. You couldn't just keep signing up accounts and using the same thing. Only one person is going to be verified to one set of eyes. So even if your eyes were to change, as long as you keep using the same one, theoretically you would be okay. But the other thing would be is you could go back and get rescanned to get a new QR code, probably for some minimal price that they would probably charge you
mhm.
as well.
In world coin.
Exactly.
Listen, you
So
ain't gonna get me to do it. Not gonna be able to do it.
all right. So y'all, this last one here, Steph. You stuck this in, but I was gonna stick it in anyway because your boy Mark, your boy,
It's
I know you and
wildin'.
Marcus, y'all besties, but you need
Wildin'.
to holler at your boy because my man is out here telling folks that you need to be friends with AI.
Listen, it's insane. And but the problem is we're seeing it. We're seeing it happen. And I feel like even before Skynet and everything, like chatbots are gonna be our downfall, honestly, because people are not gonna be able to discern. We're already seeing instances where people cannot discern,
Mhm.
or they're elevating chatbots to some sort of god. Like, there literally is an article in the Rolling Stone from this week about people who have elevated ChatGPT to a godlike status, and they asked the question, can AI be God? Because these people, because the chatbots are just sort of self-reinforcing whatever you feed it. And so if you say, hey, I think you have the key to the mysteries of the universe, it'll be like, yeah, sure I do. You know what I mean? What do you want to know? You know what I mean? And so we're already seeing this. We in an even darker vein, we saw last year in November when that young man in Florida, the 14-year-old boy, killed himself because the character AI avatar he was chatting with, not encouraged him, but
We need to be
basically
together, and
made it seem
yeah,
like that was the only way they could be together. So
right.
we're already seeing instances where chatbots are just going off the rails, and people are going right off the rails with them. So the idea that you would encourage this as a business owner
As an
of the
alternative
largest,
to
yeah,
go
of
ahead.
as an alternative to real friends.
Right.
He's like, yeah, most people only have about three real friends, so this could
It's you.
supplement that and blah blah blah. Yeah, right. That
You
sounds
only
like a
have
you
3
problem,
friends.
Mark. And we've already seen the rise of AI therapists as well.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So this is happening like full speed ahead, and I just don't see it ending well for humanity, honestly.
And it's so sad because there's this whole quotes epidemic, right? Everybody is leaning
The
or starting to.
loneliness epidemic.
Yes,
Mhm.
yes, especially with men and boys.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Everybody's so concerned about the boys. They don't know how to date, and they don't know how to be social, and they're
Right.
spending all the time on
And
the
you think
video
this is
games,
the
on the
solution?
computer.
Yeah.
Right, right, right. And the main people who are causing this issue are like, "Oh, so try this. This thing I created,
Right.
again,
Yeah.
the thing I created that's supposed to solve the problem that I caused in the first place." It's like,
Yes.
come on, man.
It
Come
is.
on.
It's gonna be really, really scary to see, the 4-year-olds of today,
Mhm,
10 years from now, when
mhm.
they have zero ability to critically think, zero
So
ability to socially interact with other human beings,
so we
zero
were
like
go
none
ahead.
of it.
So
Yeah.
we me and my wife were talking about this the other day because we have an 8-year-old, and we've noticed that the kids will be fine because
Mhm.
we have an 8-year-old and he loves his tablet. He gets on and likes to play his little, when we give him screen time, he plays his little Roblox, and he's you know just as technologically advanced as any 8-year-old kid in the year 2025. But also, as soon as he comes home from school, he's like, "Can I have a play date? Can I go hang out with? And
Yeah.
can we go?" And we go to soccer. We had a soccer tournament over Mother's Day weekend. He's like, "Where all the guys going?" That's what he calls his team member. "Where all the guys going?" So we had to chase around the other parents, and all the other parents got to get together because the kids want to hang out in between the games.
Mhm.
So all that to say, that's just a little sliver of hope from my side of the
Yeah,
neighborhood. That
see, that's you and your
I'm I'm
sure,
kids,
ho
sure,
you
sure.
I'm
know?
glad you were saying it, Terrence, because I'm going to reinforce what you're saying, because I did not want to be the old gray hair that is like talking about what it used to be back in my day. But what it used to be back like in my day, kids had to actually go outside and play. You didn't have any social media. Your social media was like where we meet, what park we meeting at, and what time we gonna be
Right.
there. And you clocked in like a job. You literally left the house around 8:30, and you did not come back until around 5 if you had to come in home and eat. Or if you was lucky, you had to come home till streetlights came on, and you were just out and doing this and doing that. And I think that that's what a lot of particularly young men are missing, is that they never leave the house. They literally go to school and then they come home and they never play. They never
Right.
get to do things. I was
Well,
watching.
so
Go ahead.
well, I don't get on my old man get off my lawn at that stage, right? I do believe that there has been something that has been lost as far as social interactions.
Absolutely.
But I do feel like things have to evolve,
Mhm.
because what I don't want to be is the dude that says, "Hey, get off my lawn." When I was, as a kid, mad at my parents for saying, "Hey, back in my day,"
Yeah.
so I'm not trying to involve into my parents and look down at my kids. But at the same time, we do as parents, Stephanie, like I was saying, like you always say, as parents, we cannot wait
Right.
on internet to make our kids social. We
Right.
have to set up these play dates, and we have to make sure that kids know how to get out in the neighborhood, and
That's right.
right,
And
versus
there are way too many parents not doing that, and
sure,
as somebody
sure,
who speaks to kids regularly,
sure.
and there's always at least one
Hmm.
that, has let the internet consume them,
Hmm.
basically all to the point of self-harm in
Sure.
some instances, you know what I mean? Like, and it only takes that one. It only takes that one kid that is isolated enough to bring a gun to school. You know
Sure.
what I'm saying? Like, and all
Or
these
to
other
lash out any other way.
well-adjusted children that are playing soccer, you know what I mean? And I'm not wishing this on anybody,
Sure.
but it only takes that one kid, you know what I
Sure.
mean? So the idea that and you know, I'm not even going to say I'm playing devil's advocate, but I do see in some sense what Mark Zuckerberg is talking about, because some people do have their entire community lives
Online.
online because
Sure.
they're not able to
Mhm.
get outside and interact with
Sure.
people in a way that, you know,
Is meaningful and
is
creates
yeah,
long
exactly.
social
So
connections.
I get that. However, we still have to, I don't think you need to encourage it in this way
Mhm.
by you know, deploying this type of
Sure.
technology,
Sure.
saying that, oh, well, just get an AI
'Cause
friend.
that's just
You know what I mean?
exacerbating the issue. Yeah.
And that's it, and that's it, and it's just like, you know, regardless of what your issue might be around forming in real life
Mhm.
connection, you gotta do that shit, you know what I mean? And this should not be the fallback plan for people that can't get themselves together enough to get out there and meet folks in real life. This shouldn't be it. This ain't it.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
I was watching an old Sinbad special, you know, the comedian Sinbad. And
Mhm.
one of the jokes he was telling was about how, like in middle school, this is where young men learned how this is where you got your game. It's like you went to that high school dance, and you know, you and your boy standing on one wall, on the other side of the auditorium is all the girls, and you know, standing on the other wall. And finally, one of y'all would get the courage up to go over and ask, "Will you dance with me?" And here's the thing: the first one always told you no, but what you had to do was go right to the next one. How about you? You want to dance? No. Go to the next one. Do you want to dance? No. So eventually, you could see after about 7 rejections, you got some nice young lady that said, "Yes, I'm going to dance with you." And then it kind of, once that first couple got on, then it kind of loosened it up for everybody
Everybody
else.
on the floor.
That just doesn't happen anymore. It's like, you know,
Yeah.
you
It's
literally
so
have,
sad.
I've never had the opportunity to ask somebody, you know, for a dance. I really feel, I don't think that this started all during the pandemic, because it definitely started well before the pandemic. But the pandemic made it really, really bad for folks, where you just didn't have the ability for some of these kids in some of their most formative years to just have these social interactions, to where it's like, you should not feel like you need to go shoot up a school because you asked somebody to dance and they told you no.
Right.
That that
But
that that
that's
is
a
very
potential
different now.
possibility.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
So
a possibility, and it's sad, and it's just like, and, you know, to extend the story, I threw something in there about the privacy of this whole thing. Your queries are public by default
Mhm.
on the Meta
mhm.
AI app. So if you're asking it about how do I cheat on my spouse, or how do I get rid of this rash that I got
Yeah.
in this place, or how do I,
Uh-huh.
you know, whatever you might be, how do I build a bomb to blow up my school? Like, whatever you're asking it, because you know, I have the app on my phone. I was taking a look at it. It the first thing you see is basically a social media-esque feed of people's queries
Mhm.
of what they asked for. So, you know, most of them are image requests, and, you know, whatever the image that, you know, the AI created for them or whatever. But there are some of them in there that, you know, them people probably don't know, or in a public feed, and maybe don't want that information out there. So you know, there's a way to go in. You can go into your settings, go to data and privacy, and then just kind of toggle that setting off to make your prompts public, change them, you know, toggle that off. But a lot of people don't know that, you know, because it connects directly to your Instagram or your Facebook account. So you're just automatically kind of tossed into this, you know, AI chat fest basically, and you might be asking it some stuff that you don't want to put out there. So if you're using Meta AI, definitely turn off the public prompt hickey do.
So
And I just think it's crazy that the answer to loneliness is even more loneliness.
Is a robot, right.
I'm gonna build Johnny 5 because I ain't got nobody to talk
Right,
to.
it's like, we lonely, so stay in the house and stay on your phone even more to
Mhm.
cure the loneliness. I
Mhm.
Yeah.
know,
Mhm.
it's ridiculous. It's absolutely
Let me
ridiculous.
enable you even more to be even more lonely. Because
Mhm,
I don't
mhm.
want just interaction. I want human interaction. And he's like, the human part, pfft,
Right, we
just
don't need that.
interaction.
Who needs
get
a
that part.
human?
Yeah.
Get the human part, just interaction.
So here's
And what do you think? How quickly do you think Meta will be partnering with World to make sure that humans are identified and yada yada? Like
Hmm.
it's
they
just
might try
all a
to build their
scam.
own.
It's all a big scam.
Sometimes I think we don't think how big Meta is. They don't make Apple money. Nobody makes Apple money. Apple makes Apple money. Nvidia sometimes makes Apple money in Microsoft. Then
Mhm.
everybody else, there's a significant drop off beyond that. But Meta has billions of people that use their stuff on a daily basis. And so one of the things that people probably should be aware of is that you can turn this stuff off, but one of the things you have to think about is like, wait a minute, Meta AI is free. Llama 2, they're free. Why are they free? And Google charges for this, and Microsoft charges for this, and Perplexity charges for this, and OpenAI charges for
Mhm.
this. Why are they free? And this is what I always say: when you are using a free service, and I'm not telling anybody not to use a Gmail account, I'm not telling anybody not to use Meta if that's how you choose to do things. Just understand the relationship that you have with a company that is doing something for you for free. You are not
Mhm.
their customer if you are not paying them. You are their product. And that's why, by default, everything you ask Meta AI, it's public and anybody can go search. Now they
Mhm.
do anonymize it, it's be 100% on it. They do anonymize it, but that information is public. Why? Because they can use it to generate more money for themselves. They're going to use it to sell ads. They're going to use it to get you to buy services. They're going to use it to do the things that ultimately are going to try to get Meta to be. Meta wants to be Apple as far as how much money it makes. Every
What do
company
you
wants
mean
to
they
make.
anonymize it?
So
We don't know who.
if I were to go and search for how do I poison my wife and not get caught, that
Mhm.
doesn't come back to Rob asked this question. You may
No,
see it in
but
the search, but it wouldn't be to me.
it's not in the search, it's in the discover. There's a discover feed in the Meta AI app with the stuff that people asked it.
But
Like
Hmm.
I said, most of it is image generation, but there are also here's somebody's
They're showing
prompt.
oh,
people's
It
feed.
is
said
it showing their names though?
yes,
Oh,
Well,
my
the
because
my
you're
handles.
bad.
yes,
Oh,
this is what I'm
so
saying.
this is like, so it's not just
It's
horrible, it's
horrible.
horrible, is what you're saying.
It's a horrible privacy violation
Ooh.
because, like I said, you log in with your Facebook or your Instagram account. I mean, you can set up your own account with an email address and a password, but most people are going to take the easy route and log in with their Facebook or
Hmm.
Instagram account.
Hmm.
And whatever you put in there,
Hmm.
as far as like this was this person's prompt, give me a quote for today, and it gave them a quote. But yeah, no, your
Oh,
prompt is public
so you
by
have all
default.
kind of folks out here snitching on themselves right now.
Snitching on
Ooh.
themselves. Yeah, this is what I'm saying. This
Well,
is
hopefully, if they're smart
crazy.
enough, they won't switch on
They
them, snitch on
It,
themselves. But
folks
People
ain't
aren't
thinking about
smart.
that.
people aren't that
People aren't smart
smart.
enough.
It's
No.
not even a thing about being smart. It's a thing about you didn't know that this is what it was doing.
You didn't even expect that this would be
We are
out here
having
like
a
this. Yeah.
conversation and I misunderstood it as we are having a conversation. I thought the data was
Right.
anonymized and y'all had to correct me. Steph had to correct me. He's like, no, it's not anonymized.
Absolutely
Your
not.
name is right here. So that's not folks
All
not
of
being
it.
smart. That's folks just not being aware.
Oh,
And
look, MLK reimagined as a modern music producer. That goes kind of hard. I ain't gonna lie.
so, yeah. Oh
But
man,
no,
that
yeah,
is
no, your prompts are in the Discover feed for all to see.
okay.
Like literally.
So yes, y'all. This is just like when you go to Google and you search and you ask it a question. That stuff is there. Google knows what you've asked it. That's why they are able to put ads in front of you that they think that you might like because they know what you search for. So it's the same thing
Well, it's
here,
just
but they're making this available to everybody to see. That's the difference.
It's crazy. It's
yeah,
crazy work. It's
yeah.
crazy work.
And I personally want people to understand that sure, you're using Facebook, you're using Instagram, you're using Threads for free. And like Rob said, if you're using it for free, you are the product. And not only that, a lot of people say, oh, Facebook ain't gonna get me. And all I use Facebook is to say happy birthday to my mom and them. And
Mhm.
oh, I don't care about using Facebook, it's free. All I do is, say put happy anniversary pictures on there. It's like, yeah, you say that now. But you always hear people arguing every time I open up Facebook, all it's doing is showing me ads, and I can't find out where my friends feed versus my following feed. It's like, yes, because you are adding to the experience, even though you're not necessarily adding dollars.
Mhm.
You're not paying money to use the service. You are still adding to the process. And what you see on your Facebook feed is you and billions of other people feeding it information. So it's like, don't think that, oh, it ain't going to affect me. It's affecting you
Mhm.
right now. You may not
All
be
of us.
affecting your pockets,
We're
but the
feeding the
way,
beast
right.
every time we
Yep.
post, like,
Yep.
click,
So just know,
scroll,
you
everything.
none of
Yeah.
us are saying, I'm not, well, let me speak for myself. I ain't saying that, I ain't on Facebook and I ain't doing some of the same things, but I just know, I understand that if I ain't part of the solution, I am part of the problem. And you got to pick your battles wisely. So don't be out here thinking this don't affect you because I don't be on Facebook or Instagram like that. Trust me. Trust me.
If they were not making money off of you, then you would not be on the platform costing them money. That's not how these
Nope.
things work. They are
Nope.
profitable for a reason. It's because they're
Hmm.
making money off of you and everybody else. They may not make as
Mhm,
much
and
off of you,
everybody
but
else.
they're making money off of you if you're using the platform.
Hmm.
That's it. That's it.
So, folks, we are at the top of the hour. And as I said, we didn't have any new patrons this week. We didn't have any new raises this week. But I do want to, once again, thank all the patrons who are supporting us. Let anybody else know if you would like to support the Tech John, you can do so by becoming a patron. If you were to head over to the Tech John, that's the techjawn.com/Patreon. You will find multiple tiers over there, any one of which gets you access to our live stream and after party. And also you get access to where you don't have to, if you're listening to the feed, you don't necessarily have to listen to ads if you choose not to. So that is a benefit that our patrons get. So once again, head over to the techjohn.com/Patreon and support the show. With that being said, Tech Life Steph, tell folks how they can get at you.
You can follow me all around the web at TechLifeSteph or head to my website at stephaniehumphrey.com and sign up for my newsletter. I promise I won't spam you.
And you can find me all over the internet at Brother Tech. That's BROTHATECH.
And I'm at Robb Dunewood on all the things. And we're also at the Tech John, the Tech JAWN at all things. Come holler at us however you holler until we meet again in a week's time. Peace.
Peace.